I'm Justin Pritchard from Motoring TV. This is the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee Summit Reserve, and in this video,
in my part of Canada, the Jeep Grand Cherokee is something of a gold standard when it comes to combining the long-haul comfort, all-terrain confidence, winter driving traction. The previous generation Grand Cherokee hit the road in 2010. It was called the WK2, and this Grand Cherokee spent 10 years on this particular platform, with numerous upgrades and facelifts applied along the way. The WK2 generation Grand Cherokee was retired after model year 2020, making way for this all-new 5th generation, or WL model, that arrived for model year 2021. I recently met the latest Grand Cherokee for the first time during a 1,600-kilometer road test covering plenty of back roads, highway, and light off-road driving in late winter in northern Ontario. So in this video, I'll share some key impressions of the latest machine with an eye for how it stacks up against its predecessor, and where repeat Grand Cherokee shoppers considering the model's latest can expect to see the biggest changes. This tester is the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee Summit Reserve. It's a high-luxury top-dog Grand Cherokee designed to make Mercedes, Land Rover, and BMW shoppers do a double take. Look for power from the familiar 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 or the 5.7-liter Hemi V8. These are two of the most mass-produced and proven engines on the planet. Plug-in hybrid power is joining the options roster soon.
you're definitely going to want to have a Swiffer with you if you're kind of a neat freak like me. I have to use this to make sure that all of the interior stuff in here is ready for its close-up, because let me tell you, as good as this gloss sort of piano black finish looks, it gets dusty if you so much as look at it the wrong way.
The first thing you've got to know about the Grand Cherokee Summit Reserve is what it's like inside. Shoppers considering the spend on this range-topping trim grade can expect to feel and see their investment strongly inside of this cabin. Main takeaways. First, there's very little familiar from the previous model, not even the window switches. Almost everything is new and modern, sleek and flowing, and playfully accented with quilted leather that extends down the door panels and into the door storage cubbies. So all said, the look, the feel, and the interfaces of the latest model's interior are a major leap ahead, and as a whole, this cabin is a stunner. On size and space, expect generous room for 4 average-sized adults and a generous cargo area in back. There's room for 4, a bag or 2 apiece, and I figure enough cargo space left over after that for the family canine as well.
Good dog, buddy.
After 1 million kilometers of vehicle testing, I would tell you that the last generation Grand Cherokee was soft on its feet but confident in motion, not easily bothered by rough road surfaces, and generally did a terrific job balancing highway cruising comfort, with a solid and durable feel on badly beaten around-town roads. Mainstream versions of the Grand Cherokee, therefore, easily impressed with consistent refinement and ride comfort even when the going got rough. With that as a comparison, I would tell you the new Grand Cherokee has tipped the scales a little. On the highway, I found my tester to feel considerably lighter on its feet, considerably more stiff and rigid, and ultimately to deliver a fresh new drive that's less Toyota Highlander and more BMW X5. Specifically, I found the latest Grand Cherokee to be immediately firmer and less bouncy than its predecessor, for a feeling on the road that's more confident and controlled. The latest model, running a new suspension system, feels less like a four-wheel drive sofa and more like a hovering monorail while you're cruising on smoother roads at a good clip. The main attention grabbers from the highway ride included the feeling of stiffness imparted by the machine's new structure, the very well-controlled motions of the body over its wheels, and an excellent new steering system. It's very quick, very precise, and very easy to work smoothly, just like you'd expect from a high-end sports car, really. And combined with that suspension calibration that seems carefully tuned against the steering feel, my tester felt surprisingly lively at the tips of my fingers, whether pulling quickly out of a parking lot or cruising the highway at a good speed. Heading up Highway 400 North at 110, it's exactly what I want in an SUV but usually expect from a sports car. A smooth, fast, heavy, and precise reaction to even tiny movements on the wheel. In parking situations, this steering can feel heavier and more labor-intensive than it needs to be. But on the highway, you're precisely directing a big, solid, and stable mass down the road with just tiny little inputs on the steering wheel. As SUV steering goes, this is a high-precision treat. A tactile reinforcement that you're operating a high-end piece of equipment. Add in the nicely controlled noise levels, good outward sight lines, commanding view, and new active dampers that electronically optimize the ride in real time to help keep the body flat on the shocks as often as possible. And you're still very nicely covered for chilled-out cruising, a key attribute of the last-generation machine, but now optimized, with that sweet new steering and some new adaptive suspension tech once reserved exclusively for racier models like the SRT and Trackhawk. The 357 horsepower, 5.7-liter Hemi V8 in my tester is built for chilled-out cruising too. Hammer down and it's a sharp bark from under the hood, and a meaty shove into your seat. But with a light foot, the Hemi runs in 4-cylinder mode in some situations on the highway to help save fuel. Further, the new all-wheel drive system can now physically disconnect and reconnect the front axle in milliseconds to help minimize fuel consumption too. Still, with a 14.1 liter per 100 kilometer combined fuel economy rating and current fuel prices, shoppers should be certain they'll appreciate the power and soundtrack of the Hemi and its added fuel costs. That's especially true in stop-and-go city driving, where this engine really puts the gas away. For comparison's sake, the turbocharged V6 offered in some Ford Explorer variants delivers more power and torque than the Grand Cherokee's Hemi V8, while saving its drivers about 2 liters of fuel for every 100 kilometers they drive. So far we've got a great new interior, a great new highway drive, and a proven and punchy V8 power plant on offer for the fans. Just like the highway drive, I think the new Grand Cherokee's backroad ride comfort still sets a high standard, but for different reasons. In the previous machine, you could keep your speed reasonable, and the suspension quietly and smoothly absorbed just about everything you could throw its way. Even aggressive mogul surfaces that tend to send the odd axle airborne from time to time were nicely managed and soaked up. The ride was quiet under fire, soft and comfortable on the highway, and easygoing in the back roads during pothole season and in the bush. The new Grand Cherokee is not quiet under fire. Very rough surfaces, that is the worst case scenario, do coax more suspension, tire, and interior panel noise from the machine than I like for the money, and there's more feedback transmitted back through the steering than I was expecting too. I'd say these are minor to moderate annoyances, likely stirred up in part thanks to my tester's great big 21-inch wheels, which rarely do ride quality any favors on these sorts of roads. So I found the previous Grand Cherokee to be quieter and softer, but the new one feels tougher, smarter, and much less dramatic when in motion at speed over uneven surfaces much more of the time. Feeling those adaptive dampers soak up the bumps, dips, and frost heaves of Sudbury's crumbling highways and back roads never got old. If the added sound effects are no bother to you, you'll likely find the rough surface ride to feel solid and tough, and the adaptive suspension to let you cover rough and uneven ground fast, with unwanted bouncing and rebounding of the suspension all but eliminated. So to me, it's the feeling of rigidity and toughness enabled by the new vehicle structure, combined with the adaptive dampers taking much of the drama out of the ride, and finished with a great new steering feel that enhances that feeling of control on smooth and rough surfaces that are now the star of this machine's show.
Thank you for watching. My name's Justin Pritchard. Until next time, take care and drive safe.
In 1988, it was only found on TV. Not anymore. We have a robust website with the best auto journalists in the country. Our Facebook, where the only topic of conversation is cars, and where it's easy to win cool swag. YouTube, which boasts 30 years of archives at your fingertips, including complete episodes. Cool shirts, right? For the first time ever, we're selling them. Google Motoring TV Shop to get yours today.